Now is the time to talk to your older relatives. I mean, right now. Probably the thing I hear the most from my viewers and my podcast listeners is that they regret not having interviewed their parents or their grandparents or the other older relatives when they had the chance. I'm Lisa Louise Cook, and today I'm going to help you do just that with my top 10 family history interview questions. Now, every person in your extended family is walking around with a piece of your history in their head. I mean, it's really unique, and no one else knows what they know. And all of those memories of all those people fit together kind of like a puzzle, and they really pull together your personal story and, of course, your family's greater story, and your kids' story, and your grandkids' story. So you've got a pretty important job to do. Use my questions to kick off the conversation and move more quickly yet sensitively into the memories that you want to hear about. And memories is really the key word here with these questions. We want to tap into memories, not answers. Okay, this means that these questions are geared to helping your interviewee kind of go back in time and provide thoughtful memories while completely avoiding yes and no answers. And they're designed to fill in their backstory, how it fits into your story, and hopefully open up some new opportunities for you to learn more about your family history and do a little more research. Remember, everybody's energy level and enthusiasm for this kind of thing is a little different. So don't try to cover too much in one sitting. And with that in mind, in this video, we're going to focus on questions specifically around family history. These are the questions that you don't want to run out of time for in a much longer interview. Plus, they really get a longer interview off to a great start. And they'll end up providing the story of the person you're talking to in a chronological way, all the way up to the present day. I like to start off with one or two icebreakers. Both of you might just be a little bit nervous about how the conversation's going to go. So just like kicking off a great party, you might need a couple of good icebreakers to get you started. Now, the first two kind of help you figure out where you're at. So number one, were you surprised that I asked you to sit down for this interview? That would be kind of interesting to talk about, kind of get you guys talking about the unexpectedness of it, maybe some jitters involved. And number two, were you looking forward to sitting down to this interview today? This might really help you uncover hidden hesitancy and help you figure out if there's a little more reassurance that could be used here to kind of just make everybody more comfortable. The third question is, have you done an interview like this before with anybody else in the family? Now, this one could really help you figure out if there is anybody else in the family who has an interest in family history. Maybe you'll have a future collaborator on your hands, but it will also just kind of help you, give you another place to follow up to get more information without having to necessarily ask this person to sit down again for a second interview. Now, these next two questions are just fun and all about them. If you had a whole day with no demands or responsibilities, how would you spend it? Another question you could ask is, what's the coolest thing about you in your opinion? Again, it's totally up to you if you use these. And if you have a really great close relationship with the person that you're talking to and you don't sense any resistance from them to the interview, then by all means, just jump past the icebreakers and go straight into the family history questions. Now, before we jump into the 10 family history questions, I want to give you my pro tip right up front. It's an important thing to keep in mind as we go through the questions. As a genealogy professional speaker, broadcaster, and interviewer who has interviewed hundreds of people over the last 14 years, I want to tell you the single most important thing that I have learned. If you do this, you absolutely can't go wrong. And I can almost guarantee you that interviewing your relative will be an incredibly rewarding experience for you both. So here it is. Don't worry about being a great interviewer. Be an amazing listener. Every interview has the potential to be rich and revealing. But if you're not carefully and passionately listening, you're going to miss it. So while these questions are really good, only listening will reveal where the opportunities are for you to learn a lot more. Care more about what you're hearing than how you're coming off conducting the interview. If you hear about something intriguing, unexpected, or a little tantalizingly vague, stop and inquire about that. Don't worry about going off script. Don't worry about making sure you ask every single question. The questions help identify kind of the layers of the onion, and your job is to peel back the best pieces. I really can't stress this enough. I thoroughly prepare for every interview that I conduct, both family history interviews and the interviews that I do for the various shows that I produce. But the best and the sweetest moments come from something that I heard and that I paid attention to and that I asked more about. And I think that the person being interviewed really appreciates that and will respond accordingly. So with that in mind, here are my 10 awesome family history questions for you to ask your relative. Question number 1. Did you know your maternal grandparents? What do you remember about them? Now, right there, we're saying not what did you think of them, what were they like, what do you remember about them? So we're going to start thinking about eliciting memories. And we don't want to assume that they knew either sets of grandparents, but this is going to be a wonderful icebreaker and kind of starter place to get into the family history, which leads us into question number 2, which is, did you know your paternal grandparents? And what do you remember most about them? So listen carefully for the answers and peel a little bit on those things that seem to elicit perhaps a little bit of emotion or fond memories from them. Question number 3 is, who's the oldest relative that you can remember meeting? I love this question because it reaches as far back in the family tree as you can get. So try to get them to be thinking about when they were young. Who did they meet? And perhaps, they're 5 years old, which might have been 80 years ago. What 85-year-old did they meet? I mean, you could be talking about somebody who was born in 1810. So there's a wealth of information here, and it might take a moment for them to think about it. Don't be in a rush, but just kind of help get them thinking about back when they were young, when the family got together, perhaps around the holidays. Who was the oldest person in their family that they remember meeting? And then from there, you can start inquiring a little bit more about the specifics about that person. Question number 4 is, did you have a favorite relative? Who was the relative you most enjoyed seeing? I think this one is kind of fun because, one, they're going to enjoy answering this and thinking back on that. But this could be a really interesting character in your family tree to learn more about. Maybe you'll discover a personality there with one of the folks who's just sitting there quietly on the tree, and it's going to open the doors to some really fun research for you to kind of flesh out those stories. Question number 5, who was the funniest person among your relatives? And with this question, feel free to change funniest to any quality or attribute that intrigues you, because this could really lead to some fun research about this person and reveal some things that you haven't heard before in your family. Plus, the person you're interviewing is going to have a lot of fun telling you those stories. Question number 6, which relative do you wish you had known better? We all have one of those, don't we? And this could be actually a little opportunity for you to give back to the person that you're interviewing. If they tell you about a great aunt or great uncle or maybe a great grandparent that they never met, this could be somebody that you could focus on and perhaps put a little something together that you could then follow up with the interview. And as a thank you gift, say, here's a little something more I learned about that person that you were saying that you would like to have known more about. So it's kind of a nice opportunity for a give and take. Question number 7, who was the family historian in the family. Now, if your relative is a lot older than you and they name somebody, even if that person's not still around, you could get in contact with their descendants. So ask about what they knew about them, where they lived, and the names of that person's kids, their grandkids, because this is going to be a great research opportunity for you. Question number 8, remembering back to your childhood, was there a storyteller in your family? Do you recall hearing stories when you were young? Was there family lore that everyone was well aware of? Again, these are all really kind of just fun conversations to have, plus totally are going to open up the doors to future research and to learn more about them and maybe flesh out whether or not all of those grains are grains of truth. So a really fun one for the conversation at hand, but also for your research down the road. Question number 9 is, what family traditions did you most enjoy? Now, you could start off just by, can you name some of the family traditions? But it's really fun to get right into, and what piqued your interest? What did you look forward to? And how did you participate in those traditions? Again, a wonderful opportunity for listening here, because there might be a nugget that leads to something else. Plus, you might hear about some traditions that would be kind of fun to then incorporate into your own family today and pass them on. And our final and 10th family history question is, what haven't I asked you about that you'd like to tell me about? Or that you wish I had asked you about? This is one of those classic questions we see people on TV asking people at the end of conversations. And I just think it's perfect, because there's no way that we can know all of the things that we should be asking about, or the things that are important to that person. And be prepared for any kind of an answer, and to kind of honor that answer when you get it. Because even if you're thinking, oh, well, that's really not going to help me with my family history research, this person is telling you what they really had wished that you were going to ask them, or that they were kind of anxious to share with you. And there's nothing more important than that. It's one of the biggest thank yous that you can give them, is to listen intently and maybe even ask a little more about it. So there you have it, 10 family history questions that are going to really open up some doors for you, and of course, hopefully create a really fun and interesting conversation. The more you listen, the more it will. Now, 10 questions may not seem like a lot, but these are designed to uncover lots of future opportunities for discovery about your family history. And because you're going to be actively listening for those intriguing, unexpected, and tantalizingly vague comments that might get made during the conversation, you'll want to reserve plenty of time to dig deeper into those. So don't stress yourself out with trying to add 5 or 10 more questions to this. This is designed to help give you lots of room to peel the onion back. Okay, you've done great. I do have one more bonus idea for you. I want you to, wherever you are, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, pull up a Word document or an Evernote note if you want to. Go back to the beginning of this video and watch it again. And I want you to answer the questions for yourself. This is your chance to finally write down what you remember. As the family historian in the family, we often neglect doing this for ourselves. And your memories are just as an important part of the family story as anybody's. In the video description down below the video here on YouTube, you're going to find a link over to my show notes page for this video. You can also find that at genealogygems.com/11s. Now, the show notes is going to include my list of 10 questions. So you'll have those there. And if you are a premium member, and I hope you are, head to the resources section at the bottom of the show notes page. And there you can download the ad-free show notes worksheet. It's designed around these questions. Go ahead and pull that up, download it, fill it out as you watch the video again. And you will have your own story to add to your family history. And I can't think of anything more important than that. It's a gift that you can give the rest of your family. And while you're at my website, genealogygems.com, on the homepage, there you'll find the red button to sign up to be a premium member, but you'll also find a button for my free newsletter. Hey, that's a great way to stay in touch with me, and you get a free bonus download when you sign up for that. It comes out once a week, and it's going to tell you all the things that are happening here at 11s with Lisa and on my Genealogy Gems podcast and everything else. And if you're a premium member, that's a really important thing to be on as well, so that you get to hear about your new exclusive premium content that's available for you. And you probably heard during the recording, this is the challenges of doing all your broadcasting from home. I want you to meet Dottie. Can you say hi? Can they hear purring? I think you can hear purring. Her brother is here too, somewhere. George is here, but she's our newest family member. I just had to introduce her to you. And if you want more help with finding your family history, watch this video right here. It's going to help you out. I think you're going to love it. Thank you so much for watching, my friend. I'll talk to you soon. All right. We love you. Bye.